Hey everybody, just want to give you all a quick update on what's going on with the hives. I think the last video I put up I talked about how I split them, and at that point I was still pending the queens hatching and not sure what was going on, so I just want to tell you where we're at today. This was hive number 1. That was the original hive. The queen hatched out last Thursday, which was June 28th or something like that, I believe. Yeah, I think it was June 28th, was on Thursday. She hatched out, and I found her. Didn't see any eggs, which I didn't expect. Honestly, wait, no, I'm sorry, take that back. She hatched the Friday prior to that. So, last Thursday I looked and found her. She was in there running around. I didn't see any signs of eggs or anything. I was actually looking for eggs when I found her. Just by chance, she was buzzing around on the comb, making all sorts of ruckus. I guess she was drumming up followers or something. I don't know. So she kind of made herself stick out like a sore thumb. That's why I found her. Number 2, you'll remember that's the original 3-foot box. That's got the original queen in it, the Clifton marked queen that I bought with the package. So they're doing great. She's still laying good. They're raising plenty of brood, building plenty of comb. Number 3 box, not so good. Haven't seen any evidence of a queen. No eggs, and the bees are still really just lethargic, lazy. Actually, we're a little bossy tonight, but I think it was because while I was looking at them, a bunch of the drones were coming in. The hive's really heavy with drones right now. Just by chance, I guess they got a bunch of drone comb. Not so bad that It's not. I guess I worded that poorly. It's not like laying work or bad. It's just there was a lot of drones that hatched out of the brood that they got. There was a lot of drones in it. So I haven't seen any indication of a queen. I gave them last Thursday when I found the other queens. Since this hive didn't have any indications of a queen, I gave them another frame from the number 2 hive. I gave them another bar, not a frame, a bar that had comb, eggs, and brood in it. Gave them basically the opportunity to say if they need a queen, they're going to try to raise another one. If they don't, they'll just raise that brood. Looking at them tonight, they didn't have a whole bunch of queen cells pulled. I saw one queen cup on the middle of one frame. Now the middle is supposed to be I want to say, emergency cell. Now I've had a little conflict. I'll tell you all about that here in a minute. Not really a conflict, but a typical bee scenario where something doesn't make sense and no one can explain it. Anyway, number 4 hive, best of the best. Checked it last Thursday, which last Wednesday and Thursday were supposed to be the mating flights. Checked it last Thursday. Not only did I find a queen, I found eggs. So she's already way ahead of schedule. She's mated, she's laying. Looking at it again tonight, she's way ahead of schedule. She has a whole box full of eggs. And so what I've done is I put the feeder back on. Reason being, I put the feeder on number 1 last night just to see if they would take it. I mixed up a 1-1 sugar syrup, and then I put in just a tablespoon or 2 of some honey that I had. It's local honey. It's not mine, but it's local honey, organic. And it was free, so I don't really feel bad for feeding it back to the bees, because it's not my prime honey that I really like. It's just some cheaper stuff that I got. So gave it back to them. I put on the number 1 hive last night just to see what they would do. I used the honey for bait, basically, to make them be more inclined to take it. Got home today and they completely drained it. So now, knowing that the number 4 hive has the laying queen, they really need the space, because number 1 hive just took a lot of impact in the cells. That not honey bound, but they just loaded a lot of it in cells. They didn't really build any comb. So I give it to number 4 hive now, with the hope being that they will pull a lot of comb with it, because I have noticed they're starting to pull new comb already to try to keep up with that new queen. So they're pulling lots of comb. So hopefully, with the addition of some sugar syrup and some feed, which they are taking, hopefully they'll pull a lot more comb a lot faster, and we'll get that hive ramped up and doing good. Anyway, the conflict I was going to tell you guys about, reading around, people define where a queen cell is on a frame, and they try to say that that determines what sort of cell it is. Now, I was just in a class this weekend where the guy that was the teacher, he's actually going to the University of Georgia to get his master beekeeper's license or title, whatever you want to call it. He was talking about the different sort of queen cells the bees will build, and he said that in an emergency situation, when the hive all of a sudden becomes queenless, they'll build the cells in the middle of a frame, and they'll usually only pull a couple of them. Well, when I made my splits, what I did was I took the queen from the number 1 hive, and I moved her and 5 bars of brood to the number 2 hive, therefore inducing an emergency queenless scenario. and my bees pulled about 24 queen cells, and not a single one of them was in the middle of a frame. They were all on the edges of frames. Now, he referred to ones on the edges of frames as being swarm cells. Now, other things that I've read have said, yes, when you do a cutback split like I did, you have to go through and you have to cut out all the extra cells to prevent a swarming scenario. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess. I induced an emergency situation, yet they pulled swarm cells. So I don't know that anyone has ever proven or verified that 100% of the time, if you make a hive queenless, they'll build it in the middle of a frame. Obviously they won't, because on the number 1 hive, they pulled every single one of them on the edge of the frames, and they pulled a lot of them, not just a few. And now I'm looking at this hive, where I've given them a second shot and gave them some more eggs to work with, and they're pulling only a single queen cell right smack in the middle of a frame. So I don't really know how to explain it. I just wanted to share that with you guys to tell you that what you read is not always right. It's not to say that it's wrong, but there's always an exception to the rule of beekeeping. So if you see your bees doing something that you think doesn't precisely match what you read in the book, don't freak out about it. Read a little bit more, ask some people, ask some that have experience, and just, for the most part, just relax, enjoy it, let the bees tell you what they want. See ya.